Well, first off, Andrew, welcome back to Double Tap. Great to have you here.
That's great to be here, Stephen.
And look, I actually have with me my own Mantis Q40. I'm showing you. Oh, the loveliness. And it's going to get even better with new updates. Look, I know we could, I want to get into the small talk stuff, but I kind of just want to also get to the updates because this is cool.
It is. So you're referring to version 2.4. This update is going to bring text-to-speech and audio support to the Mantis Q40, as well as other features. So, and it's great. I mean, this has been a long time waiting for. I think there's a lot of people out there, a lot of users of the Mantis that have been requesting text-to-speech. And of course, we don't have onboard speakers on the Mantis. So we had to really think outside of the box of how we could support audio and text-to-speech. And I'm sure you're intrigued to know how we're doing it. So I will continue with how we do this. And the way that we're supporting it is through Bluetooth. So we don't have, as I said, we don't have any hardware speakers or audio specifications on the device itself other than your piezo buzzer. But the way that we'll connect is by Bluetooth speakers. So when we go to pair up either your speakers or headsets, the audio will then directly come through to your headsets itself or your speakers, and you'll then be able to manage your speakers as well. So you can have multiple speakers, and as soon as you go onto your, let's say, your screen reader, of course, your text-to-speech, all of your audio will be removed from your speakers from your Mantis, but then when you come back to the Mantis, it should then join back again, and you'll continue having that text-to-speech capabilities. So there are some new settings that will come your way under the settings menu. So there'll be an option called speech settings, and in there you'll have all of the wonderful, great benefits that you can use to have audio support. So downloading your different voices, languages, speak word under the cursor. So the Mantis is really I think a really good device also to learn Braille. For those that are not proficient at Braille, I've always kind of, said that, well, if you're a QWERTY user and you're now starting to think about learning Braille, the QWERTY, without even text-to-speech, was a good way of learning, because as you're typing and you're familiar with typing on the QWERTY keyboard, it comes out in Braille grade 2, and then you can expand that word by clicking on the contractions and it expands into grade 1. So that's kind of one of the real good benefits of having the Mantis itself. But now with the text-to-speech, that's just going to further improve and make those that are learning Braille more Braille proficient with that added support.
Yeah, because that's, funnily enough, exactly one of the reasons I like the Mantis so much. And it's a lot of our listeners have said the same thing. They've said that, isn't it wonderful? You type something and maybe it could be punctuation. Sometimes that's the ones that fall away, because if you're learning Braille, you're focusing so much on the letters, you kind of forget about the, you might know the full stop or the comma, but then it's like, what's a semicolon again? And just being able to press it and then feel it and go, that's what that is, or that's what a question mark is. In some ways it kind of reinforces the learning, in some ways it even helps with the learning. So you're absolutely right. I want to talk a bit more about the audio, because you're right. You and I think, had this discussion a while ago about the idea of bringing speech into this. And you were a bit coy back then. You're probably thinking, yeah, I know what's coming down the line. I'm not telling him. But, I kind of wondered, was Bluetooth the way out? Because there was no other way. There was no other way to get audio out there. And I must admit, when people heard the announcement online, people had posted on social media saying, hey, look, it seems like the Mantis is getting text-to-speech. Some of the initial feedback was, oh no, please tell me I don't need to buy a new Mantis today. There's not a new version coming, is there? I think a lot of people will be pleased today that you've managed to build this into the existing device. No one's expected to go and buy a brand new one.
Yeah, that was when we fought back with, obviously this is an American printing house product. And when we first had the request for products, we didn't include a kind of audio chip in there at all. So it was never considered. And then when, of course, Mantis was established and was launched, then people started to talk about, I wonder if text-to-speech was going to be available. So then we thought about this a few years back. How we play this? We looked at actually a replacement of a board. We did look at that option. That actually was going to be another 18-month project in itself. Mm-hmm. And of course, it wasn't really feasible. So the only direction going forward was, of course, looking at the Bluetooth. Now, some people may not like that, but we thought that it was a trade-off. We thought that, okay, well, you don't need to pay for any upgrades. It's going to come for all those that have a Mantis. And it's a choice, because at the end of the day, it's a Braille display primarily. And so if you don't want text-to-speech, you just don't simply add that that CTS support through headsets. But yeah, we're glad to say that we're moving forward with the Bluetooth connection.
And what about latency? Because that's always a challenge when it comes to Bluetooth, isn't it? That you end up with a lag between pressing a key on the keyboard and getting that speech output in your ear. What can you tell us about that?
So we're currently actually in beta still, believe it or not. We are looking to launch on the week of I think it's the 7th of December. So you're the first to know about this, of course.
It's exciting. It's exciting.
But yeah, we've had some really good feedback. The latency, it's not that bad at all. In fact, it's quite responsive. The only reports that we've had was the caps lock. And this was a really good comment from one of the beta testers. So when we're using the caps lock today with the Mantis, you hear a beep and a double beep. So a beep to tell you that it's currently on, and a double beep to tell you that it's currently off. Now, when we had that connected to our Bluetooth headsets, there was a lag with the beeps, and that was really annoying for users, which I completely understand. So there was a beep, and the next minute you hear another beep on your headsets. So we've changed that entirely. We've now completely changed that, and by announcing caps on and caps off. So we've avoided the double beeps and the beeps. But that's pretty much it in terms of the feedback we've had. And negativity with the connection or now, there's pretty responsive, I have to say.
Okay. And like you say, there's going to be a bit of a perhaps early confusion with this when it comes to being able to switch from one device to another, from essentially the note taker to, say, the iPhone or to your computer. How will the text-to-speech work? You kind of mentioned that, but let's dig into that a little bit more. Mm-hmm. So if I'm using this and I'm using it in essentially standalone mode, I'm using it as a note taker, I've got the speech coming through my Bluetooth, and then I connect to my MacBook, for example. What happens to that text-to-speech? What's the handoff process like?
Okay, so the pairing will disconnect, okay? We'll say the pairing won't disconnect, but the connection will disconnect. So then you're predominantly then using your Braille display Mantis with your computer. And if you've got your headsets connected to your Mac, then it may be that you might need to push a button on your headsets to kind of change that connection. And that's kind of expectations now. I mean, that's nothing from what we're doing. That's just general headphones, switching between connections, because you could have headsets connected to multiple devices. Now, once you've then gone out of terminal back into the Mantis standalone apps, it then should rejoin the connection again. But again, depending on the speaker or headset manufacturer, you may need to press a button on your headsets to regain that channel again. But again, it's relatively responsive. It all depends on how many Bluetooth audio connections that you have set up with your headsets.
Yeah, because we all know how these headsets work. Sometimes it depends on the manufacturer and all of that. Sometimes, as you say, you can auto switch. There's no opportunity here to have the audio from your MacBook, say, come through the Mantis into the Bluetooth headset. No,
we did look at that. Believe it or not, we did look at that. That was going to cause a lot of lagging, to be honest, and so we didn't think that was going to be appreciated. So yeah, we didn't go down that direction.
That makes sense, I suppose. If it's going to add lag to the problem, then that's the last thing we need. It would just cause more problems than solve. Okay, very interesting. So this is all coming out, as you say, 7th of December. The update, I guess, rolls out fully. What else is in there? Because I'm imagining there's other bits and pieces going on.
Yeah, sure. Well, so this update does affect all Braille displays. So that includes the Braille BI 40 and 20X. And so it will include two additional modules, online modules, which are Wiktionary and Wikipedia access. And this is great because you could be in your editor, you could be in your Victor Reader or library application, and you could be reading the book and perhaps you just want to search that particular word in Wiktionary or Wikipedia. So using a shortcut, you'll be able to bring those two modules up and find more information about that particular word. So the Wiktionary and Wikipedia, you will need to have online capabilities. You'll need to be on the internet, of course. If you're not online, we also offer an offline dictionary called WordNet. So altogether, there's actually 3 modules that we've introduced: dictionary, offline dictionary, online dictionary, and of course, Wiktionary will be available to you. We then also included EPUB 2 unprotected file support. And we've heard a lot of people excited about that in itself. There's a lot of EPUB 2 books out there. but I really want to clarify that these are EPUB2 unprotected files. Okay, if they're EPUB free, providing the EPUB free is unprotected and it has a fallback, they could potentially work. But I just want to make sure that everyone is aware that it is EPUB2 unprotected files. If you've got a protection on those files, then we can't unfortunately open them.
Okay. I suppose with the introduction of text-to-speech, one of the things that is going to come up, I guess, is the content services that exist on the Mantis. So, already you obviously have access to, from your SD card, you can read books, you can, as you say, the EPUB files that are unprotected, all that kind of stuff. It's all there. But, are you looking at building in more services, or do you feel that the Mantis has kind of got the right amount of services on it at the moment compared to, say, the BI range of Braille displays?
Yeah, very good question. And that was a very good point raised when we was developing this. And we are looking to include additional libraries, not on this version, not on version 2.4, we won't be including additional libraries. But what you can do is if you do have access to audio books, then they will certainly play directly from your USB or SD card through the library application, because now that we have the audio support. But we don't have direct access to some of those libraries that are on the Braille 40 and 20. So that's something that we will work towards, more likely for the next version, 2.5.
You did mention voices as well. I'm a little bit of a cheater when it comes to my voices. I'm always changing mine. I can't quite decide on which one I like and which one I don't. So what kind of range of voices can we get from the Mantis? Because I suppose I'm kind of thinking, well, it's kind of fairly basic in a way. You just get some basic voices on there, eloquence, for example. But it's not that, is it? You're going to be getting some, or at least a range of voices.
Yes, yeah. So you've got the Acapela voices. So like all of our Humanware Braille products, we do support Acapela voices. So there's a lot of voices and languages to choose from. We will include 3 additional voices. Melanie, which is a French-Canadian voice, really good voice. Another Melanie, which is the English Canada. And I think you pronounce this as Vidi, which is the English India voice. So there are various different voices that are available. And the way that you'll do this is through your language profiles. So in your language profiles that you still have today, there will be a content option. And that's really important to know, Stephen, because if you've got your voice downloaded from your speech settings, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to talk when you're listening to a book on your library app or in your editor. You need to make sure that your profile is making sure that it's using the content voice. And so you could actually have a menu voice that is different to your content voice, for example.
Interesting. That's good. It's a little bit like the Victor Stream, isn't it? You can do that there. Kind of applying these rules across the different devices now, which is kind of cool. And in terms of setup and the process, because everyone's going to go and download this immediately as soon as it's available. What is the process for actually getting started here? Are you adding a Bluetooth device, and once it recognizes a pair of headphones or speakers, does it just start talking? Do you have to turn it on? How does it work?
Sure. So once you've updated the software, and you can update it through update on a USB or SD card or over the air. And as soon as you start pairing your audio headset, so you'd go to your settings, you'd go to Bluetooth and choose pair audio devices. It will search for any devices available. Make sure your headsets are in discoverable mode. And then once it's connected, it should then, providing you've got, let's say, an English system voice set or an English system setup, your voice would default to the default English voice, which I believe, don't quote me on this, I think it may be Samantha or Sharona. Could be. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that, but it should have a default
Daniel, because I hate Daniel, but I know he's probably, I don't think if he's an Acapela voice or not, but yeah, Daniel, I can't know. Stan!
He is.
Sorry.
He is actually on there, unfortunately, yeah.
Oh, God, I'll avoid that one.
And actually, a lot of people have asked, how do I listen to these voices? Is there a way I've listened before I download? There isn't, unfortunately, an option on the device, but you can go to the Acapela website, and there is an option that you can preview some of the voices that are available. But unfortunately, you can't preview those voices on the Mantis itself. You'll just simply have to download it, have a check it out, and if it's good, keep it. If not, then you can just continue to download another voice.
We're talking to you early today because you're heading off to an event at the British Library in London. Tell us a bit about that, what you're doing today.
Yeah, so this is an event that's been hosted by the RNIB, and it's the celebration of Louis Braille's 200th year. Humanware are one of the main sponsors of the event, and there'll be a panelist, very big panelist. I think there's a young girl whose name is Betsy Griffin. She's a young girl who's wrote her own book, and she went blind at a young age, so she'll be on the panelist. Of course, you've got David Blunkett as himself, and I think there's Jane Constant, who's a singer and also a leader in the Accessibility Act, I believe. So yeah, it's a very good panelist. We'll be there, obviously showcasing some of the new Braille technology and talking about some of the old Braille technology, but it's all going to be about Braille in celebration of Louis Braille himself, of what he's done with Braille, how he's created it. So really looking forward to the event and excited to talk to a lot of people and talk about Braille.
Good luck at the event today at the British Library with RNIB. Sounds like a great event celebrating the life of Louis Braille and looking to the future as well with all this amazing technology. And I can't wait for the update to the Mantis Q40 on the 7th of December. I'll be eagerly awaiting it. I'll be up early that morning.
It's the week of the 7th. I think it's going to be it's going to be the 11th.
Okay.
It's the 11th of the, just to clarify that.
Oh, I'll get up on the 11th then. I'll get a lone lie on the 7th. Andrew, thank you so much for coming back on.
Thanks, Stephen. Take care.
Hi guys, Stephen here. If you want more content like this, then all you have to do is like and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to catch new episodes of Double Tap, you can do right here on YouTube every weekday from noon Eastern, or on AMI Audio across Canada, and of course, in your favourite podcast app as well. Thanks for watching.